Yo, it's your friend Dinner Dog. And whether you're just starting racing the randomizer or you've been watching some randomizer races, you've probably heard about complexity. And it gets described in a number of different ways. Like I don't really like it being described as a tree. The describing it as like a chain or layers I think makes a lot of sense. But we've got a fun way to describe it here, and we're going to talk about what it is for the purpose of just understanding it. We'll talk about how to use it much later in these tutorials, so don't worry about it right now. And honestly, there are better things you can probably learn about at the beginning of your journey anyways. So what is this bad boy? So complexity is the number of intended progression steps needed to access the final fight and then, beat the game, win the race, etc., right? It's not the number of progression relics or items, all right? So you don't just count how many progression items you have and say, okay, I'm on this level. It's a bit more nuanced than that. We'll see it in the visual example. The complexity assumes that the player obtains all relics on the same level, and it should be known that complexity and logic are completely different concepts, all right? So go see the 103 video for that. But generally speaking, logic is a better thing for you to know than complexity. But complexity is a bit tough, so that's why we need to look through it. Okay, so how do we visualize this bad boy out to make sense of it? So let's use this. It's really Donkey Kong, all right? Donkey Kong gives us the best view of what this is, all right? So we've got our complexity levels over here, and we've got 8 layers to get up to the final fight here, right? To beat the game. So how does this work? So on the first level in most presets, you have access to 5 checks. You've got Cube of Zoe, Spirit Orb, Soul of Wolf, Fairy Scroll, and Jewel of Open sold by the shopkeeper normally for $500. Some presets or settings get rid of the dollar requirement. Anyways, so if you check all those things, that's level 1. And the only progression item that we get in the moment is Leapstone, all right? We may have received a couple of Vlads along the way, but they don't really matter because they're not, well, they do matter, but in the moment, they're not giving us any progression, right? Like the Heart of Vlad by itself doesn't progress the game. Having 5 Vlad relics does, and that's why this one is up here. It's the final one, and that will enable the fight as long as we got the 4 preceding. So we're just going to put these away for now because they just clutter the screen. So the Leapstone enables us to do 2 things. We can check Colosseum, and we can check Keep with just the Leapstone. It's a really versatile relic. I'm not doing it justice here. It's definitely underrated. You need to use it more often. Anyway, so you go up here, and let's say you go to the Colosseum, you get the Jewel of Open. That's perfect. Wow, okay, now I can go to level 3, right? But the game assumes you get everything, all right? So maybe you need Merman as well, and it's also on level 2. And then maybe Merman enables, actually I'm going to switch the order of this. Maybe Merman enables you to get Flight, all right? So if we just took the Jewel of Open and we didn't get Merman, then we would get to level 3 and not be able to progress. We'd grab this ring, and the ring is really cool. But one ring by itself doesn't actually progress the game. You need both the gold and silver ring to do that, to get to the Holy Glasses check. So even though over here we've got 3 relics, we got these all these on layer 2, so these are both like level 2 relics. And everything that we get on the next one will be level 3, and so on and so forth, all right? So you've got to grab them all, or at least that's what the game intends you to do, and that's how you should refer to what level of progression you're on, or what layer of complexity, things like that. And I love the Donkey Kong example because we can start doing things out of logic, like in the beginning of the game. If you're playing like Lycanthrope, you might be able to get to the Colosseum early and just forget about the Sleepstone. So there's crafty things that players can do to break what the game intends us to do. But in terms of complexity, we need to think about what the game has intended us to do. It can get really messy, especially if you get like out of logic Flight or something like that to keep track of it all. But this is how it works. So you go through, we grab the glasses that gets to the second castle. There's 3 things in the second castle. They're all in the same layer. And you just keep moving along from there, and you go up and you grab all these things, and eventually you get to the final fight. So this is how the layers work. You start on a level, you grab everything on the level. Everything on that level is considered the number that the level is, so in this case level 1. It doesn't matter how many of these things are on that level, it's all still level 1, all right? These are all level 1 relics. That's all that matters, all right? Okay, so that's all we got time for today. This is how this works. The reason why this works is because it creates a more consistent experience. So not all presets have complexity. Like right now, it's safe, lycanthrope, adventure, speedrun, like things that like mimic safe are the ones that have complexity. And it really just looks to create a more consistent experience. It makes you go and get various things, and you may have to go back and forth between the castle. If complexity didn't exist, you may have it where you can progress, or you can get access to a number of things very quickly in the game, and theoretically, it makes your game shorter. Complexity is not a difficulty setting. Like everyone in the everyone who comes to the Long Library Discord, which you should go into, it's very cool. They're often like, "Yo, how could I crank up the complexity?" Just don't do that, all right? It's not a difficulty setting at all. All it will do is make your seeds more linear. And that's kind of boring, right? This is a bitter spice of life kind of thing. So yeah, this is what this is. It exists to make the gameplay a bit more consistent and to mimic the progression system that you would find in many Metroidvanias, despite the fact that the game is randomized, right? It adds a bit more structure to it. So that's all we got time for here. Hope you found this useful. If not, let me know in the comments and I can answer any questions. And if I've missed anything, also leave a comment and I'll pin any comments that are like express something along the lines of that didn't get described here. Anyways, we'll see you in the next one, and cheers. Take care.